Hi, I'm Jessica Rector, your host and founder of This Man Thing, where we help men be authentic through their communication, thoughts, and actions. We help them play bolder, think bigger, and be better in order to gain more freedom, confidence, and success. You can find us at thismanthing.com. You can also join our free Facebook group at thismanthing.com/groups, where men are having real conversations and building much needed community support and camaraderie with other men. Through his own company, Brilliant Forge, Larry Cornet helps people connect a clear path to transition to a bigger and better career in life with his guidance, support, and accountability. Please help me welcome Larry to the show. Hi, Larry. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Thanks. So tell us a little bit about you and how you got started.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm a career and business advisor now, but I got my start kind of in a strange way with psychology. So I have a PhD in psychology, and I was studying how to design software to make it easier to use. And that ended up taking me out to Silicon Valley. So I got my start at IBM, and then I worked at Apple Computer, eBay, where I ran a global team there. And then my last corporate gig was at Yahoo. I was the VP of Consumer Products for Yahoo Search. And so I ended up running a lot of large teams and global teams. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was helping people with their careers. So helping them move forward in their career, advising them through difficult times. And I left Yahoo, started my own businesses and doing the business advisory work, my own tech startup. But now I'm actually really enjoying helping people define their careers and redefine their lives.
So why did you leave? I mean, you had some impressive jobs and an impressive career. Why did you decide to leave all that?
Yeah, it's not easy, right? This is one of the things that I coach people on is that there's something to be learned from a corporate job, and I think of it as kind of your postdoctoral education. So I think a lot of people learn on the job in Silicon Valley, and it's exciting and it's fun, but it's a lot of work. So you end up working at the executive level. It's not uncommon to work 12 to 14-hour days, for months on end. So I spent probably 8 years working really, really hard at eBay and Yahoo, and went from an individual contributor to eBay, and then was getting promoted like every year until I became an exec, a VP at Yahoo, and that took a toll. So I spent a lot of less time with my family. My health took a kind of a hit. And so I really wanted to kind of take a step back and say, how could I redefine my career so I could have balance, so I could spend time with my family, I could be healthy, I could really enjoy what I'm doing, but still be able to work with tech startups, still be able to help people with their careers, but not be in that 9-to-5 grind anymore.
So what was kind of the light bulb moment that you're like, I've got to leave this? Because if you've been doing it for working 12 to 14 hours for that long, that kind of becomes your norm, right? And then, overnight it wasn't, okay, I'm, working all these hours, plus my health is deteriorating, plus I'm not spending more time with your family. Like, all those are kind of gradual things. Maybe it started at 8 hours, then it went to 10, then it went to 12. And then before you know it, it's, you're working 14 every day, but that becomes your norm.
Yeah.
And spending less time with your family becomes your norm. So how did all those things build up for you to finally go, okay, you know what? I've kind of had enough. I need to stop this.
Yeah. Sometimes, I think you need a push. I think that we all know in the back of our hearts and our minds that things aren't right, but we're familiar with it. Like you said, it's what you've been doing every day. The money's good, so it's kind of hard to step away from that. For me, the big push is Yahoo was going through some tough times, and they still are. If anyone tracks what's going on with Yahoo, it's not pretty. So we were having big corporate reorgs, I would say, about every 6 months. Shifts in strategy. I was in the search team, and that was a big change for us, that we decided as a company to outsource the technology of search to Microsoft, to use Bing. And so we helped with that transition. And then I was like, okay, this isn't really interesting anymore to be working on search, but not all of search.
Right.
And that was a bit of a push, I would say. Plus, like you said, it was all the other things of really long hours, long commute, not seeing my family. My health was, not great. And so I think it all kind of added up. But that big push of saying, well, what am I going to do at Yahoo if we don't really do search anymore, was enough for me to say, okay, I've kind of had enough. I'm going to tap out and figure out what I'm going to do next.
So we're going to get to a little bit later of what to do next and the transition of doing that. But I want to dive a little bit into, there's, all the ways that kind of that unhappiness, that unfulfillment can show up in men before they decide, okay, I've got to take that leap, right? So can you give us some examples in case they're like, well, I'm not really resonating with what Larry's saying. That's not me. Because a lot of times, when they've been in it so long, they don't see themselves in that. They've convinced themselves of, this is great. This is what, this is great. The money's great, and so what does some of those things look like? So give me an example of what does health look like, what you were talking about, and maybe not even your own health, but maybe how you've seen health deteriorate in other people who are in similar positions.
Yeah. Health is a big indicator, and that kind of creeps up on you, I would say. I know in Silicon Valley, we all get free food. So there's tons of free food, and you come in and they entice you to come into the early morning meetings with donuts. And then you have the lunch meeting with pizza. And then, so there's all this free food. No, isn't that great? And so I think it kind of sneaks up on you. And I notice with myself and a lot of the other men that I worked with, just kind of that slow weight gain, right? So everybody was kind of getting a little bit heavier, moving a little bit slower, taking the elevator instead of the stairs. And that's some of the signs that you're seeing, is that just that level of energy and activity that you probably had as a younger man isn't there anymore. And so you do see people waiting for an elevator to go up one flight instead of taking one flight of stairs. And you catch yourself doing that, and you catch yourself getting winded when you have to take the stairs. And you're like, I just went up 2 flights of stairs and I'm winded.
Yeah.
That's not good. I used to play tennis and basketball, and I used to run, and where did that all go? So I think that's an indicator when things that you used to be able to do with no effort at all, now you're like, I'm out of breath. That's not good. And then I'd say that you start to look around, and the people who are in their 40s, 50s, you're starting to see guys having heart attacks. And that's young. A guy, a friend of yours who's been working really hard and grinding in tech, and they just turned 50 or 52 or whatever, and you read that they died of a heart attack. Like, that's a bit of a wake-up call. Like, I didn't think it could happen that young. And I know to really young guys that doesn't seem young, but if you're 50 and you're supposed to have 20 or 30 more years of life ahead of you, and you die of a heart attack right at the prime of your career, you never got a chance to even enjoy it. So that's a wake-up call. You notice that.
Well, one thing to do to prevent that is just, no matter how busy you are, no matter how many hours you're working in a day, to make sure that you're going and getting checked, because even the healthy people who look really healthy on the outside may not be that healthy on the inside, and can easily have heart attacks and those kind of things. And that is scary. And I think that's due to like the stress and the pressure, and like you mentioned, the eating and not taking the stairs. So what's the difference between, like the example you gave of not taking the stairs? What's the difference between that of like, hey, that should be a wake-up call, as opposed to, well, that's just a habit I've created of taking the elevator every day. Like, that's just a habit. Like, I just automatically go, and I don't even think about it. I just push the button to the elevator and I go up.
Yeah, I think you have to start to pay attention to a little bit of warning signs. And, it's like, even like getting in and out of the car, I would kind of be uncomfortable. And if you look back, and you can see photos of me from that time frame, I wasn't morbidly obese by any means. I think at my highest, I was like 200, 201. But for me, I'm like,
on what frame?
I'm 5'11". So, that's not morbidly obese, but that's too heavy for that height. And I don't think anybody that looked at me would say, oh man, he's really overweight. They're like, he could use some exercise. But that, just even getting out of the car, I was uncomfortable. Little things like that. And just feeling, and the stress, like you said, you start to feel that pressure. And I know with me, you get kind of that pounding feeling in your head where it builds up, and you feel tight, you feel a lot of tension, and you kind of feel this pressure in your neck and head. And if you look at things like heart attacks, it's like, that's not an uncommon early symptom. And so I wish there was like some lightning bolt moment where you'd know that, oh no, I'm in deep trouble, but usually by then it's too late. Yeah. I'd say it is those little feelings of, should it be that uncomfortable to bend down and tie my shoes? Should it be that uncomfortable to walk a couple of flights of stairs? If I'm catching myself constantly taking elevators and getting rides to even go a block, something's not right. And that's not who I used to be.
Yeah, I love that. Like, because I never thought, like, just the uncomfortability of bending down and tying your shoes, or getting in your car, because people have that and they ignore it, right? And then the one donut turns into 2 donuts, into 4 donuts, or the 2 slices that turns into 4, because, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, instead of balancing. I'm not to say don't have pizza. I'm just saying balance it with some fruits and vegetables. So God, that's even kind of a wake up call for me. And I'm not obese, but that's kind of a wake up call that, okay, Jessica, take the 1 flight of stairs up, actually, even before that, look for the stairs before you look for the elevator.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Because I think we're pre-programmed to just go, where's the elevator? Because that's the easiest way. We want things fast and easy right now.
Try to get that parking space right next to the building, right? It's like, it is little changes like that. I refuse to take the elevator unless I have to go up like 30 stories, right? I don't want to take the elevator. I'll run the stairs. I refuse to wait and park near the building. I don't care. I'll park clear across the parking lot. And so I kind of made, like you said, it's those micro changes, but I refused to do the things that I knew led me down that bad path. And so I just don't do them anymore.
I love that, Larry, because I'm the same way in a parking lot. I park really far out. I don't mind walking, but I also realize I am spending more time circling the parking lot, parking space, than just parking out and walking, and it'd be done. And people will do that. They'll wait, and it's like, just park and walk. I mean, you're saving time by doing that.
It's true. Exactly.
It's so funny. Okay, so tell me how you kind of come to a realization, even if maybe Yahoo wasn't going through those changes, that, there's men out there that they're not fulfilled, they're not happy. What does that look like? What are some signs that they can be looking for outside of maybe their health?
Sure.
That maybe they need to shift what they're doing, whether it's starting their own business, looking for, to volunteer and give back. What is something that they can be doing, some signs that they can be looking for to lead them into really what they want to be doing?
Yeah. So I think there are other signs too. I think when work is consuming almost all of your waking moment, and I know I carried a corporate phone with me, and so they had me, 24/7. I'd be at a soccer game and my phone would ring, and it'd kind of ruin your whole weekend because there was some huge emergency and you had to deal with it. So I think when work is intruding in every minute of your life, I think when you're missing a lot of special moments, and so I was missing moments. I mean, going to the soccer game, but you're on your phone instead of watching the game.
Oh, yeah.
Is another one of those, missing, never having dinner with my family. I spent 8 years of hardly ever having dinner with my family and seeing my kids at night, because they would go to bed, when kids, they go to bed 8 or 9 o'clock, and I'd get home from work 9 or 10 o'clock, and maybe I'd catch them, maybe I wouldn't. Being more irritable than usual. So I'd say that the stress, it adds up. And I think, if it was a little bit of stress and you kind of come back down from it, but as it kind of stays at this continual level, little things that really shouldn't upset you or make you, irritable do. And so you'll find yourself being more irritable with your children than you should be, your wife, whoever it is, right? Your friends. That's a pretty good sign that something's not right. And then that feeling, for me, it started to build up where every Sunday evening was like, I've got to read through 150 emails because, I was trying to catch up, but now I've got Sunday evening to just spend going through all my emails, get caught up, because you're supposed to come in Monday morning having read all those emails that were going all weekend long. And then you're not really looking forward to Monday at all. No. And we all kind of go through phases, but there are times, I would say, that with a job you enjoy and things are going well, you're looking forward to something you're working on. You're not really dreading that Monday morning, but it got to the point where every Sunday night was just this feeling of impending dread and pressure of like, I've got to do all this work and I'm back to work on Monday. And if you're starting to feel that way repeatedly, I think Steve Jobs talked about this. He said, if you wake up in the morning and you think, this is my last day on earth, would I do what I'm going to do today? And if you keep answering no for too many weeks in a row, something's wrong. It's time to change.
Oh, wow. God, that's powerful for anyone.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. So, God, I'm like stuck on that. I love that because so often we just go through the routine. Now, men could easily feel the pressure of what's expected of them.
Sure.
Because of what they're taught from a young age that, success means money, success means cars, success means big house or multiple house or the latest gadgets. So
Right.
success means climbing that corporate ladder, putting in the 12 to 14 hours, not leaving before your boss leaves, all that kind of stuff. So what do you say to them that they feel that now that they've reached that level where they're making the income, they're making good money, even though it's not fulfilling them? Because what I found is that they do what's expected of them, climbing the corporate ladder, staying in as long as they've done, putting in the hard work, and then thinking that that's what's going to fill them up. And at the end, it doesn't fill them up. And so what do you say to them, or how do you help them go from feeling this pressure of that's what you got to do, you're making great money, staying in that and switching to something else?
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. You do reach a point where you achieve what you thought would make you happy, your idea of success. I was making great money, and, as a VP, I thought I wanted to be a VP and executive, and I had a really nice car and I had a big house and lived up in the mountains, in Los Gatos there. And then you're like, okay, but I'm not getting to enjoy any of it. Right.
Yeah.
It's what good. I know another guy, I won't name names, but he became very successful, sold his company, multimillionaire. I think he made, a few $100 million. And a couple years later, he died. And so I was like, so he worked so hard, achieved success that I think most men would say, well, that's what I want, to be a multimillionaire. But then he died. And so all those years of not living, of not enjoying his 20s and 30s and 40s, saying I'm going to be retired and wealthy someday, and then I'll be happy and I can live my life, gone. And so I think you have to realize that you don't have a guaranteed lifespan. There's nobody that's going to say, yeah, you're going to live till 90 and nothing's going to happen to you. Yeah. So don't worry about enjoying life now. Just wait until you retire. And so I have to remind people, you don't have any guarantees. You better enjoy what you have now. And sometimes that means making a change. And what I like to tell people to do is make the plan while you're still secure in your current job, because it's really hard to, I talk about this like building a fire escape. Really hard to build a fire escape when your house is already on fire. And that's what a lot of guys do. They wait until their job's in jeopardy. They've been laid off, the company folded, whatever it might be. And now they're like, okay, now I need to redefine myself. It's like, wow, yes, but that's going to be really hard now because you waited until it was desperate. So I tell men who are very comfortable in their jobs and maybe starting to have that little itch of maybe this isn't what I want to do, start making your plan now. Start defining what you want this alternative business to be. I talk about the business of you a lot. It's like, what would you be if you package yourself up as a business? How would you market and sell yourself?
What does that mean?
Well, basically, I think we all have a huge set of skills and knowledge, our talent, and all this experience that we've acquired over decades. And if you were going to take what you do, everything you're capable of, and you were going to market that, if your company was going to market that to a customer or client, how would they package it up? How would they advertise it? How would they price it? What would the services be?
Wow.
Because you are essentially, once you've reached that point, you've been in the industry for 20, 30 years, whatever it is, you are a self-contained business. You have immense knowledge that sometimes companies with dozens of employees don't have because they're just getting started. And here you are with 20, 30 years of experience and all this knowledge. How would you sell that as a business? How would you package that up? And it's a fun exercise to do, even if you decide, I don't ever really want to start my own business, because that makes you really confident in the way that you present yourself for promotions, for new jobs, whatever it is, because you now know your value and what you're bringing to the table. I think it's just a good exercise to do, and do it while you still have a job and you don't feel desperate. Do it while it's something you can do, an hour every night, or do it on the weekends, whatever it is. But define that business of you. So if something does happen, you're like, no problem. I already know what I am and what I'm worth. I'm just going to build a website, start marketing myself. I'm going to start selling what I have like right now. It isn't that hard to flip the switch if you've done the work already.
I love that. One of the things that I work on with my clients is, who are you? So outside of your career, outside of your roles, who are you? And men, time and time again, will say, Jessica, I don't even know what that means.
I know.
What does that mean? And it's a big, like light bulb for me that it's like, God, men are so wrapped up in their careers and roles. So husband, father, that they don't know who they are. Like Joe Smith does not know who Joe Smith is at his core because he defines himself by all these external things and has no idea who he is on the inside. And so it was fascinating for me when the first guy said, Jessica, I don't even know what that means. And then subsequently, every guy after that has said pretty much the same thing. It just allows me to be more aware that things that we need to help men with, right? Things that we need to teach men, that it's okay to spend time on you, and it's okay to find out who you are and not living up to some expectation that someone else has for you, or what you always thought you wanted, or what you always thought success looked like, right?
Yeah. That's, if you ask the first time, when you meet a man for the first time, it's usually, what's your name? What do you do? Right? It's always like, what do you do? And they don't describe what they do really with what they do. They describe what they do with their title and their company.
Yes.
Every single time. And that's not who you are. That's not what you do. And so you have to unpack that. And that's that whole, how would you write the job description of what you do? Because that gets beyond, I'm a VP, I'm a director, I work in marketing. It's like, well, what do you actually do? And once you start to kind of keep asking those questions, which like what you're saying is like unpacking, like, who are you without those external identifiers? That's when you can start to get to the core of like, well, now I know what I really do. And now you can figure out, well, what of the things that you do you really like doing and really good at doing? So forget the title, forget the company. That's all going to change. It can change in a heartbeat. But what you do and what you're good at, what you enjoy, that's something that's at your core, and you can take that with you anywhere.
And the interesting thing is I wonder, I'm going to have to ask some men. I wonder if I ask them, what are you really good at? If men would be able to identify what they're really good at. And not necessarily in the terms of just work, but what are you really good at? Because they could be doing things in their career that they don't like, they don't love, that they're not even really good at, but it's part of the quote unquote duties or responsibilities.
Right.
If they package themselves, like you were saying, with what are their strengths and what they love to do, and then go out and find something or create something at their own business doing that, how much more would that fill them up?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think asking also, what is it that you're currently doing that you don't like doing? And what if you could actually hire somebody to do that for you?
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? Because at a job you can't. But it's like, if you start your own business, you define what you do those things really well, outsource the rest. You don't like doing accounting? Don't do accounting. Hire somebody to do it for you. You don't like doing all the legal paperwork? Outsource that to a lawyer. It's like, those are the things that maybe you don't realize how much you don't like doing, but you just have to because it's part of your job. But when you start your own business, you can hire for those things. You no longer have to do them. And that's extremely empowering. You're like, wow, I don't have to do the things I hate anymore. It's like,
yay! I know. And it's powerful. It's like, okay, yay. I mean, because we've been taught, well, you have to, in jobs, you have to do all this, no matter if you like it or not. And then that comes the dread and the stress, and especially if you don't like it and you're not really that great at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Larry, tell us, so let's say we have a guy and he says, okay, yes, I'm not fulfilled at my job. I want to change. And you say, kind of devise a plan beforehand. So, and you mentioned like, how would you package yourself? What else is involved in a plan before they start going out on their own, creating another business, or going and looking for something that's more fulfilling for them? What are those steps? What does that really look like? What kind of plan do they need to have in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like to start at the very beginning, like just assessing, where are you right now? What's happening right now? It's because it's hard to figure out what you want to do until you understand what's wrong with what you're doing right now. And I think people end up repeating the cycle. Yeah. I see a lot of this. It's probably happening everywhere in corporate America, but certainly in Silicon Valley, is people will have a job, they hate it, they think, well, it's the company or it's my boss. And so they go find a new job, and within 6 months, now they hate that job. And so they're repeating the cycle over and over again because they've never stopped to say, well, why do I not like this? Is it really the company? Is it really my boss? Or is it the role and what I'm being asked to do? Is it just something I don't enjoy doing? I don't feel like I'm really good at it, whatever it might be. So I like to start with an assessment saying, where are you right now? What's not working? Why are you unhappy? And let's get deep and understand that. Don't just say, oh, I hate my boss. It's like, come on, now I'm looking at your pattern and you hated your boss the last 6 jobs. Something's wrong here, right?
Yeah.
So I like to start there and basically kind of get a real clear assessment of what's not right. And then kind of tear that all down and say, let's go back to the beginning and look at, I call it the story of you. Like, what is the story of you going back to childhood?
Oh.
And looking for patterns, talking with your parents, talking with friends, talking with your spouse. Because sometimes people can see things in you that you don't notice because it just comes so naturally.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've observed this with the men that you advise, that you're like, well, you're really good at this. And they're like, I am? They just don't know because it's so natural and they've done it since they were a child. But other people will say, you've always been really good at connecting people. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And could that be a business? Well, yeah, it could be. Yeah. And so it requires a little bit of kind of looking historically at who you are and getting input from other people, which I think is really helpful. And you start to see patterns because over time, you know, these are people who are probably in their 30s and 40s, maybe 50s. There's going to be patterns that keep emerging of, oh, I was really happy when I was doing this, or I was really good at this. I was really not happy when I was doing this. And so that tells the story of you, and you start to see a pattern emerging of what you might be really good at and enjoy doing. And then you can start packaging that up and saying, okay, now what if I was able to make a business out of that? How could I start that, keep my foot in my job because I don't want to lose my income that's coming in to support me and my family or whatever it might be, but then start to test that idea out. And so I like to have people do a lot of early testing. And this is kind of the Silicon Valley MVP model. Like, what's the minimum viable product? And in this case, what is the minimum viable product of you? How would you market and sell that? Can you test the waters with it? Can you actually start to get some clients and see if they would be interested? Can you make money doing it? You know, all of that needs to be figured out before you just jump out of your current job and say, well, I hope it works. I mean,
so how long does that process take? Like if somebody's like, I know you did the whole fire thing, but let's say someone's ready to leave their job now and they're just saying, okay, well, let me create this plan. How long is the process before, like of what you're talking about, before they could really jump ship, so to speak, and leave their job?
Yeah, I'd say if it was super accelerated, you could do it in 3 months, but that's hard. I think it's really hard to come up with a business idea, get it kind of implemented, the concept tested, and get some money coming in 3 months.
Yeah.
I would like to tell people the happy story that you can do that in 3 months, but you're probably going to change your mind about what the business is as you start to explore. And that's normal. And you really should. As you start to really try things out, you'll say, I thought I would like that, but I don't.
Yeah.
So what if I twist it this way and try again? So I think at minimum, to be honest, it's going to be 6 months.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 6 months. And I think that also gives you time to build up a financial cushion too. You want to be able to start saying, okay, maybe I stop doing the vacations to Hawaii every month. Maybe I put off buying that new sports car, whatever it might be. Maybe I start to rent out part of my house. I mean, if you're really serious about doing this, there are ways to build up your financial cushion so that you have some breathing room, because it's really hard to start a new business and the stress is already enough without saying, oh no, I think I'm going to be out of money in 3 months. So you want to build up a cushion. I like to say, have a year's worth of money kind of socked away. And that could be part of it, you know, can be your stocks. It can be assets that, you know, you could sell if you had to, things like that. But have about a year, because if you look at any business that started, it's rare that a business comes out of the gate and is immediately profitable and everything's just kicking on all gears. I mean, it's going to take a little time to get it right.
Yeah. Plus, like you mentioned, like the tweaking that goes on along the way.
Yeah.
Adjustments. So what is one thing that you'd recommend for men to get started on their path, or one thing that you'd say, you know, if this is going on, you really need to think about finding a new career or, you know, starting your own business because you're not being or living in fulfillment?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think the one thing is to quickly just do an assessment and say, am I fulfilled? Am I happy? Is the path ahead of me a good path? And that's important. I think sometimes people think, oh, it's a little bit bumpy right now. I'll get past this and I'm going to get to somewhere beyond. But take a look at what beyond really is.
Yeah.
I used to hear people at eBay say, well, I want to be an executive. I said, have you looked at the lives of the executives? Have you noticed that that SVP is here till 4 o'clock in the morning every night? Probably not, because you went home. But I was here, and she was walking the halls at 4 a.m.,
Oof,
checking in on people.
that's tough.
So you got to really look at that and say, yeah, okay, things are bumpy right now, but is where you think you want to be where you really want to be? And that's, you got to be honest. You can't just keep sugarcoating it and saying, yeah, I want to be an executive. It's like, do you really want that job? So understand quite clearly, where's your path taking you, and decide, is that right or is that wrong? And if it's
Larry,
right,
what's fulfillment look like?
fulfillment,
Or
I
what's
think,
it feel like? Because there's
yeah.
people going, oh, well, I'm not horribly unhappy. So, I mean, and then they keep validating it by right. They keep going, but I'm really making great money. I can't leave the money. So I'm just wondering, like, there may be people out there that have never been fulfilled, right?
Right.
They don't know what that means. They don't know how that feels. So how would you explain that?
So I think they have to understand fulfillment doesn't equal fun. So I think there's the opposite, where people are like, well, if I have a great job or a great business, it's going to be like fun every day, and like, I'm going to play guitar every day and make money doing it. Good luck with that. But, there's a difference between hobbies and recreation and a career and leaving a legacy. I think a legacy is a key part of fulfillment. I think this is something that maybe you don't realize until you get into your 40s and 50s and 60s, that you want to have left a positive mark on the world. So I think fulfillment is, am I leaving that legacy that I thought I would? Am I making a positive difference in the world for someone that matters to me? And so that's part of fulfillment, is the intersection of, I'm really good at this, because it feels good to do something you're really good at, even if it's hard.
Yeah.
When you're good at it, you're like, I really just enjoy it because I'm so good at it. And you're helping people, so they recognize that you're good at it. And the fact that you're able to do that for them and with them makes their lives better in some way, shape, or form. And so you've made this match, and then financially, they're like, yeah, I'm going to pay you for this because you've helped me. You've improved my life. You've improved my business, whatever it might be. So I think fulfillment means I'm doing something I'm good at. I enjoy it, usually because I'm good at it, and I'm helping someone else. And therefore my legacy is, these people in the world are going to say, I'm so glad I met this man because he changed my life in these ways.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you, Larry. Love that. So tell us how we can find you and where we can connect with you.
So my website is brilliantforge.com. So it's BRILLIANTFORGE, brilliantforge.com. That's also my Facebook page, Brilliant Forge. You can find me on Facebook. Probably the easiest way to find me is on Twitter. It's my last name, CORNETT. Pretty easy to find on Twitter, and I try to stay frequently engaged there. So if anybody wants to chat more, I'm happy to always talk with people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Larry. Loved having you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Again, it's Jessica Rector, founder and host of This Man Thing, where we help men be authentic through their communication, thoughts, and action. We want them to play bolder, think bigger, and be better to gain more freedom, confidence, and success. Find us at thismanthing.com. Connect with me at jessica@thismanthing.com, and also join our free Facebook group at thismanthing.com/groups. That's a lot of thismanthing.com kind of stuff. You can, if you go there, you can pretty much find us. You can pretty much find anything you need to know about us. I would love to connect with you and learn more about you and how we can better serve you. I look forward to having you on the next podcast. Thanks so much for being here. Until then, have a great day. Bye.